we're very happy to be joined by Milind Deora. He's a former communications minister of this country. Thanks, Milind, very much for being with us. Now, several years back, you'd actually come up with a draft policy which was meant to safeguard every Indian's privacy. Do you feel today, when we are exposed in the manner that we are, it's because we've not acted enough to ensure that we are protected?
One word answer, absolutely. In 2013, as you rightly pointed out, and I tweeted that earlier today, I had initiated India's first national cybersecurity policy. This was an early time in India's sort of growth as a telecom economy. And WhatsApp was in its infancy. Social media too was in its infancy. And proactively, I thought that it's important that India sets and develops the right kind of institutional safeguards needed to prevent any government, any deep state, regardless of who is in power, from snooping on people's phones unlawfully. We were already aware that technologies were developing. There were different countries, different regions, different non-state actors and hackers who were developing these technologies. So it was done proactively. A big and very integral part of that cybersecurity policy was around the area of personal privacy.
Privacy, yeah.
And upholding civil liberties. And one big element, of course, is privacy. Subsequently, in the last 7 or 8 years, you've seen the privacy debate heat up. Aadhaar was one instance. You had the Supreme Court opining that privacy is an inalienable right of every Indian citizen. It's a fundamental right. And you even had a committee appointed under the leadership of Justice Sri Krishna to prepare essentially a privacy law, which was called the Personal Data Protection Bill. That bill then went to Parliament, went to the government. The government, through Cabinet, brought it to Parliament. It is now sitting in a standing committee of Parliament to be debated and discussed by MPs cutting across parties. The chairperson of that committee was Meenakshi Lekhi, who, congratulations to her, has been elevated and become a union minister recently. And that bill essentially is just gathering dust.
Okay, but let me ask you this.
We have no idea when that bill will be passed by the standing committee, when it will be brought to Parliament, when it will be enacted into law.
No, but Milind, let me ask you this. Vishnu, when it comes to protecting people like us, you and me, what about the IT laws in this country? Is it not true that hacking a phone is entirely illegal? Is it not true that it's a jailable offence? There is a large amount, a fine that you have to pay in case that happens as well. Is there an infirmity in the law which exists, the IT Act?
You're right. There are enough legal provisions for that. But as I said, when you look at a legal provision, you look at the entire legal ecosystem on a particular issue, we still haven't developed and upgraded those institutional safeguards. And a big element of that is some form of a privacy law. The Personal Data Protection Bill, once enacted, also envisions setting up a data protection authority, kind of like you have a right to information authority, where somebody can go, and it's like an internal tribunal where if you have a complaint, you can go and get recourse. So none of this exists in India. So essentially, the debate in our country and in every country around the world when it comes to digital privacy is really between law enforcement agencies who want governments to be permitted to hack and spy and snoop on people, as much as they want. And it's a debate versus those who are in favor of civil liberties. And I think every government has to find some middle path. But unfortunately, India is so behind in that area that if you compare us to, let's say, the European Union, if you and I, for instance, were citizens of a European country which were part of the EU, we have the legal, constitutional, fundamental right to erase our digital footprint.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you decide that Vishnu Som can no longer be Googled because you want to suddenly retire
that's your right.
On a mountain
that's
somewhere
your right.
in Europe, it's your right.
No, but one sec, Milind, I'm running out of time. I just want to get in one or two more questions.
Institutional safeguards. And I think this is a debate where it's extremely dangerous, it's extremely scary, frightening what has happened. If indeed it is the government that has done this and has authorized NSO, it is humongously anti-democratic. It is a massive invasion of privacy, of civil liberties, and essentially has weakened us at the core of our democratic values. And if it's not the government, then of course, it raises a very serious national security issue. Because if NSO is saying that their clients are only state actors, as in only governments, then which government essentially authorized
No,
NSA
but are you
or
satisfied
NSO
with the
hired them?
statement of the government thus far, or what this government has said so far on whether they have Pegasus or not? As I understand it, they've not categorically denied it.
Well, this government obviously has a very dubious...
They've sort of kept a distance between the story and the technology, but they've not said that we don't have the technology.
In the court of public opinion, the government has a very dubious reputation with regards to upholding civil liberties. But that said, I think that those individuals who have been, whose names have come out in this investigation, I think that they should demonstrate proof. They should work with different agencies like Amnesty's forensic team, provide their handsets, allow proof to be established, and then file a FIR in a police station, approach us, the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court, and hopefully get justice. That's the only way to do it. Because as much as you and I debate this on television or we talk about it on Twitter, unless there is clinching evidence to suggest that somebody's phone who was named in this investigation has indeed been hacked, it will be thrown out by a court of law.
There needs to be a culture of oversight in this country, one which protects privacy as well. That needs to be in the thinking of governments, with or without a law. Sadly, that is missing in our country. Milind, I'd like to leave it at that. Thanks very much for being with us.